But as Israel advances more and more to gaining what she wants, international recognition of Jerusalem as Israel's capital, eventually Israel will be able to say to the world, we now have legal recognition of Israel. We now have legal recognition of Jerusalem as our territory. So we now are moving towards that position where we have the right to do whatever we want to do in Jerusalem. It's our territory. We've conquered it. At that time Israel can say, but according to law of war in Islam, according to the law of war in Islam, your law of war, we have the right to take Masjid al-Aqsa, your Masjid al-Aqsa, and transform it into our temple of Solomon. At that time I ask you, those of you who are obstinately insisting that we have the right to do what we did with the Cathedral of Hagia Sopia, I want to know what answer will you have for Jerusalem? What answer will you have to give to Israel tomorrow? That is my question to you. Israel will have the right, according to you and your bogus law, Israel will have the right to take Masjid al-Aqsa and convert it into a Jewish temple, and there is nothing you can do to say that Israel is wrong in doing that. Yes, that is your awesome predicament. That is the foolish corner in which you have placed yourself because of your obstinate insistence, despite reason and common sense, and despite the Quran, and despite the Sunnah, of your foolish decision that yes, you have the right to take Hagia Sophia and convert it into a masjid. On Judgment Day, you'll have to answer to Allah for that. I'm warning you, every single one of you who in your heart and on your lips, you have declared and you continue to declare that we have the right to do what we did with Hagia Sophia. Most of you in Turkey. I'm not talking with venom and hostility and hatred in my heart to you. I'm talking with tears in my heart to you, because you're my brothers and sisters. Make tawbah. Your argument that the law of war in Islam permits you to do what you did, that argument will now have to be taken and thrown into a garbage bin when Israel says we have the right to do what you did and take Masjid al-Aqsa and convert it into a Jewish temple. So I ask you, please think. Please go to the Quran, go to Surah Al-Hajj, where Allah has ordered you to protect every temple, every church, every synagogue, every masjid. Allah has ordered you to wage war in Surah Al-Hajj. Wage war to protect it. And you take a cathedral and convert it to a masjid in direct and violent conflict with the Quran. And they reply invariably, and they say it's the law of war in Islam. The law, according to them, not to me, according to them. The law of war in Islam is that if you wage a war, which you consider to be a just war, and you defeat the enemy, who you consider to be your enemy, then you have the right, when you take control of his territory, you have the right to take his church or his temple or his synagogue or whatever it is, and converting it into a masjid. That is what the law of Islam says. If that is so, according to you, according to me, that's wrong, that's false, that is in conflict with the Quran. But that's a different matter. We're not going to discuss what the Quran says now. We're talking about what you say, what you believe, that your law of Islam gives you the right to take Hagia Sophia, which is the most important cathedrals for them, the Orthodox Christians, and convert it into a masjid. Good. I want to say to you that now you have a predicament, and I can't help you with your predicament. Israel conquered Jerusalem and the rest of the Holy Land in the War of 1967. Israel prior to that did not have any kind of control over Jerusalem. They had a control over one part of the Holy Land, but in 1967 they took over all, except that the world did not recognize Israeli legal right over Jerusalem. Now, the Security Council of the United Nations organization refused to extend that legal recognition. No, Jerusalem and the status of Jerusalem is not, according to the Security Council of the United Nations, is not vested with Israel. And so Israel could not claim Jerusalem as its capital and succeed in that claim. But lo and behold, the U.S. Congress, some many years ago, issued a resolution adopted recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital. And every U.S. president simply kept on postponing the de facto entering into force of that resolution, until came a schoolboy named Donald Trump. And now he has extended de facto recognition of Israel as Jerusalem's capital.